Hi, you're listening to Anonymous Stories, honest confessions without judgment. If you have a story of your own, you can share it with us anonymously. Thank you for trusting us and for sharing your stories with us. Enjoy listening.
I grew up in a good family. At least, that's what everyone was told. My parents didn't hit me, they didn't drink, they didn't disappear. We had a house, food on the table, clean clothes, polite conversations. From the outside, everything looked perfect. That's why for so long I believed the problem had to be me. I'm 30, and I still catch myself internally apologizing just for taking up space. Everything in our home was built around one simple rule: be convenient. Don't cause problems. Don't upset anyone. Don't argue. Don't be too loud, too emotional, too much yourself. Love wasn't unconditional. It was earned. Good grades meant warmth. Obedience meant approval. Mistakes meant distance. If I cried, I was told I was overreacting. If I got angry, I was ungrateful. If I was too happy, it was inappropriate. I wasn't taught to understand my emotions. I was taught to manage them for the comfort of others. The worst part is, I got really good at it. I grew up into a low-maintenance adult. I don't ask for much. I don't complain. I don't express anger openly. I'm the kind of person people describe as easy to be around. No one sees how much that ease costs me. I choose relationships where I'm not heard because it feels familiar. Jobs where I'm used because that's normal to me. Friendships where I'm the support, never the center. Sometimes it feels like if I say no, the world will fall apart, like I'll stop being loved, like I'll become disposable. I still hear their voices in my head. Don't be dramatic. Be smarter. You're making things harder than they need to be. Even when I'm alone, I keep monitoring myself, as if someone is still watching. I don't hate my parents, or at least, that's what I told myself for a long time. They did the best they could. They wanted what was right. But then why is it so hard for me to know what I want? The most painful realization is that toxic upbringing doesn't end with childhood. It continues inside you, in your own voice, in your fears, in the guilt you feel just for existing. I'm learning how to live again, learning how to feel, how to be angry, how to stop apologizing for who I am. But sometimes it still feels like I'm living a life that was approved by someone else. And only now am I starting to understand the cost.
I'm gay. And this is probably the only place where I can say that out loud, without lowering my voice, without checking who's around, without pretending to be someone else. I'm 23. I live in the States. On the outside, I look like the perfect guy. Decent looking, well-groomed, easy to talk to. Women are always around me. They flirt, they text first, they try to set me up with their friends. From the outside, it probably looks like I have zero problems with dating. Except I do. Because I'm not interested in them. At all. I started realizing it back in high school, when all the guys around me were talking about which girl they wanted to hook up with, who slept with whom, who had the hottest body. I listened and felt nothing. No attraction. No excitement. Just anxiety. And fear. I thought something was wrong with me, like I was broken, defective. I hated myself for it. I genuinely did. I tried to be normal. I went on dates. I slept with girls. Not one, not two. I tried to start relationships. Every single time it ended the same way. Maybe a month in, and I felt like I was suffocating. I wasn't drawn to them. I was playing a role I was really good at, but inside I felt empty and disgusted with myself. I fully understood the truth when I met my friend's older brother. He was older, calmer, confident, always kind to me. We could talk for hours about anything, life, music, plans, random shit. And around him, I felt happy. Actually happy. Too happy. At first, I told myself it was just friendship, that I just enjoyed talking to him. I didn't allow myself to think any further. Until the night of my friend's birthday. Everything was great, drinks, laughter, music, people, and then he showed up. Not alone. He brought his girlfriend, and something inside me completely collapsed. I had never felt jealousy like that before, ever, toward anyone. I watched him hold her by the waist. I watched him smile at her, watched her laugh at his jokes, and I wanted to disappear, or scream, or break something. I was terrified I'd lose control and tell him everything, right there, in front of everyone. Thank God I didn't. Now I'm 23. I'm in a relationship with a guy. And honestly, we're good. We're happy, at least when it's just us. The problem is that no one in my family knows. My dad is in the military. My mom is a school teacher. My older brother is also in the military. At every family gathering, I show up alone. Always. And every time it's the same questions. Do you have a girlfriend? When are you going to introduce her to us? You're not getting any younger. How do I tell them the truth? How do I say that there will be no girlfriend? Ever. They will never accept me. I know that. Once, my dad casually said something that's been stuck in my head ever since. I wouldn't survive it if my son turned out to be gay. Sometimes it feels like I'm living two separate lives. In one, I'm happy. In the other, I'm a son who's terrified to be himself because the truth might destroy everything. And I don't know how much longer I can keep living like this.
I sleep with men for money. But to my parents, I'm a secretary working for a powerful, influential man. That's the version of my life they know. Clean, respectable, safe. I'm 24. My parents are proud of me. My mom tells her friends I made it, that I work in an office, that I'm independent and responsible. My dad says he's glad I chose a normal path and didn't ruin my life. If only they knew. It didn't start with some dramatic collapse. There was no single moment where everything went wrong. There were bills, anxiety, the fear of not making it to the end of the month, and one offer I told myself was temporary. Just once, I said. Then again. And then it stopped being just once. Now I meet men in hotels, strangers, apartments, sometimes offices after hours. Some of them are married. Some never take off their wedding rings. They talk about work, about their kids, about life, and I sit there nodding, pretending this is all normal. The hardest part isn't the sex. It's the lying. Some mornings, after another meeting, I go home, shower, put on my normal clothes, and an hour later I'm on the phone with my mom. She asks how work is going, whether my boss treats me well, whether I'm respected. I say yes. I say everything is fine. My dad often says he's proud of me, that I chose a real life. Every time he says it, I feel like something inside me cracks. I keep telling myself this is temporary, that I'll save up, quit, move on, that it's just a phase. But months turn into years. And the scariest part isn't that my parents might find out. It's the thought that one day I won't even feel ashamed anymore. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror before another appointment and wonder which version of me is real, the daughter my parents love or the woman who sells intimacy and then goes home alone. I don't know how long I can keep living this double life, but I'm terrified of who I might be without the lie.
I'm married. I have a wife, a house in the suburbs, a joint bank account, and smiling photos we post on Facebook during holidays. And I also have a secret life that no one who calls me a good husband knows about. I'm 34. I've been married for 6 years. We met when I was 27, that age when everyone starts asking the same question. So, when are you finally going to settle down? She was kind, calm, warm. Life with her felt easy, no drama, no chaos. She wanted a family, kids, a normal future. I wanted that too, or at least, I desperately wanted to want it. I've always known I'm attracted to men, not as a phase, not as a curiosity, as something real. But I grew up in a family where those things weren't discussed, where the word gay sounded like a failure or a disease. I learned early, if you want to be loved, you stay quiet. So I did. I told myself it was just a stage, that once I met the right woman, everything would fall into place. When we got married, I genuinely believed I was making the right choice. I looked at her at the altar and thought, this is it. This is a normal life. The first few years were fine. We worked, traveled, talked about mortgages and furniture. There was sex. Not terrible, not amazing, just there. I learned how to be attentive, caring, to do everything the way a husband is supposed to. But something inside me was slowly dying. I cheated on her for the first time 3 years into our marriage. It wasn't planned. I know everyone says that, but it's true. I was on a work trip, one night. A hotel bar. He sat next to me. We talked. Nothing dramatic. Work, life. How easy it is to be someone else when you're far from home. When we ended up in his room, what I felt wasn't just desire. It was relief. Like I'd stopped pretending for the first time in years. The next morning, the shame hit so hard I felt sick. I stared at myself in the mirror thinking, now you're officially a monster. I promised myself it was a one-time mistake, a slip. The problem was that for the first time in a long while I felt alive. It's been 3 years since then. I don't constantly sleep with men. It's not a second relationship. There's no romance. It's something that happens when I can't keep everything inside anymore. Sometimes once every few months, sometimes more often. Every time I tell myself it's the last. Every time I come home, kiss my wife on the cheek, ask how her day was, help with dinner, listen to her talk, and feel something heavy and invisible growing between us. She sometimes asks if everything is okay between us. I say yes. She says she feels like I've become distant. I say I'm just tired. Some nights I lie next to her and wonder, if she knew the truth, what would hurt her more, that I slept with men, or that I was never the husband she deserved? I don't know which is worse, destroying her life with the truth, or slowly destroying it with a lie. What scares me the most is that I'm not sure I'm brave enough to choose either.
I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm just slowly erasing myself and pretending everything is under control. I'm 29. From the outside, my life looks fine. A job, friends, an apartment, vague plans for the future. I smile, I joke, I show up on time. People call me put together and mentally strong. Sometimes they even ask how I manage to handle everything so calmly. The truth is, I stopped caring a long time ago. Self-destruction didn't start at rock bottom. It started small, with an extra drink, with skipping meals, with the thought, it's fine, just this once. Then came nights I don't fully remember, mornings when I'm scared to check my phone, a body I no longer feel connected to. I don't drink every day, I don't pass out in the street. That's how I've convinced myself for so long that I don't have a problem. I'm just blowing off steam, just coping, just unwinding. Except the pressure never actually goes away. I didn't stop taking care of myself all at once. First I stopped trying. If something's unhealthy, whatever. If it hurts, I probably deserve it. If tomorrow is worse, that's tomorrow's problem. I've noticed that sometimes I consciously make choices that I know will hurt me. Not because I want to die, but because I don't want to feel anything. Sometimes I think that if something happened to me, an accident, an overdose, my heart just giving out, it might actually be easier. Not because I want to disappear, but because I wouldn't have to keep pretending I'm alive. The scariest part is that I've gotten good at this. I know the limits, I know how far I can go, I know how to look normal, I show up to work, I socialize, I even support other people. I'm a high-functioning wreck. People tell me, you're strong. You're handling it so well. You always keep it together. But I'm not holding it together, I'm just falling very slowly. Sometimes I think that if it actually hurt, really hurt, it would be easier. Pain at least proves you're alive. What scares me is the silence inside. I don't know when I stopped wanting better for myself. And I don't know how to get back to the point where I still cared.
I knew how this would end. I just chose to take the step anyway, and then another one after that. I'm 32, I'm married, and I'm in a secret relationship with my boss. When people say stories like this all start the same way, they're right. It didn't begin with sex or flirting. It started with the feeling of being truly seen. We worked closely, long evenings, closed offices, coffee after 10. He listened, really listened. He remembered small things, asked questions not out of politeness, but because he genuinely cared. I told myself it was professional closeness, that I was an adult woman who had control, that I loved my husband, I was just tired. The first time we slept together came after an especially hard day. No romance, no confessions, just a moment where we both pretended we didn't know exactly what we were doing. When it happened, I didn't feel excitement. I felt quiet, like something inside me finally stopped buzzing, and that scared me more than anything else. We agreed it was a one-time mistake, a lapse. A week later, we broke that promise. A month later, we had a routine. We were careful, no inappropriate messages. Nothing that couldn't be explained as work, no touching in public. We followed rules we never said out loud. And still, it became a relationship. I started waiting for his messages, dressing for him, not the office, living in constant tension, like I was always seconds away from being exposed. At home, I lied constantly. When my husband asked why I was late, I said work. Why I was distant, I said tired. Why I felt different, I said it was just a phase. Sometimes I realized I wasn't afraid of being caught. I was afraid of it ending. Afraid that one day he'd say we had to stop, and I'd be left without my marriage, without him, and without excuses. We never talked about the future. That was an unspoken rule. Our relationship existed only between meetings, only in private spaces, only when no one was watching. I don't know who I betrayed more, my husband or myself. And I don't know how long I can keep living between the fear of being exposed and the fear of losing everything. What scares me the most is that sometimes I don't want it to end,